We've all been there. You want to make a healthy meal for the whole family that will please both the parents and the kids, but nobody can agree on what's good. Well, I'm not going to become a short order cook, and I'm certainly not going to make two different menus. However, I have two recipes that are so simple and easy that will please both those picky little kids and the sophisticated palates of the parents. First up, beer batter shrimp that's light as a feather and fun to dip in an Asian-style sauce. And I've got some clever tips for healthy car snacks to create peace and harmony in the back seat. Then my pint-sized pals are joining me for pasta pizza, a mashup of kids' favorite foods that's surprisingly good and healthy too. But you don't have to tell them that. With it, fresh veggies dunked in my go-to kid-approved sesame peanut sauce. Parents rejoice! Dinner is served, and no whining unless it's this kind. Funding provided by
Family-owned and Indiana-grown, Maple Leaf Farms is a proud sponsor of Sara's Weeknight Meals. Providing a variety of duck products for home kitchens, Maple Leaf Farms Duck helps inspire culinary adventures everywhere. Maple Leaf Farms.
Subaru builds vehicles like the versatile Subaru Forester, with symmetrical all-wheel drive and plenty of cargo room. A recipe made for whatever the day brings. Subaru, a proud sponsor of Sara's Weeknight Meals.
Ezra's Feta Cheese, family made for more than a century.
Hi, I think I'll get a half a pound of shrimp.
Thank you.
Thank you. When it comes to frying, my favorite batter is beer batter. But frying at home, most people don't do it. So I'm gonna stick with the beer batter, put it on some shrimp, and guess what? I found out a new way to do it, sauteing it. Let's get started with the beer batter. It's equal parts unbleached all-purpose flour and beer. We're gonna put a few flavorings in there. I sort of dressed it up. When I say I got a new idea about how to do this, I'll be honest, I read it in Cooking Light. They did a beer batter sauteed shrimp. I'm doing my own twist on it, but I have to give them credit. It was a brilliant idea, and it works if you have the right kind of pan. So there's a cup of unbleached all-purpose flour, and now some beer. I'm actually not a beer drinker, but since you're probably opening up some beers for the big game anyway, why not throw a little bit into the batter? Beer contributes not just bubbles, which makes sort of a crispy batter. Not only does it provide that, but let me add my flavorings too, which is some salt and a teaspoon of mustard, Dijon mustard. But what beer also contributes, it is a conductor of flavor. Anytime you add alcohol to a recipe, it will just taste better, even if you don't taste the alcohol. I'm gonna strain it just to get any big lumps out of there. And let me just pop this in here. And then we're gonna let it rest for 10 minutes. And the reason we let it rest is because the batter will sort of change as the flour absorbs the liquid. And also we wanna let the gluten relax. Gluten is the protein in flour, and when you beat flour with a liquid, the gluten gets tough. And we want a tender, crispy batter. So we're just gonna park this for 10 minutes. So now we're gonna move on to the dipping sauce, which couldn't be simpler. And we're gonna start with some rice vinegar, 4 tablespoons. There's 2 different kinds of rice vinegar that you can find in the international shelf of your supermarket. There's the seasoned and there's the unseasoned. I'm using the unseasoned today because I wanna control the salt and sugar. So there's 4 tablespoons. And then we're gonna add 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. You can use the low sodium soy sauce if you want. I'm doing an Asian style dipping sauce, even though it's a beer batter. And 2 teaspoons of sugar, which will balance out the rice vinegar. Although rice vinegar is not very acidic, it's quite mild. I'll beat this up, and then I'm just going to add some sesame seeds for look. It's sort of festive. This is a good all-purpose dipping sauce. Let's say you went and bought some dumplings at the supermarket. This would be a good dipping sauce for them or for anything Asian that you're making at home that needs a dipping sauce. Okay, dipping sauce done, beer batter done. I'm going to grab my shrimp. You can use the larger ones. The larger the shrimp get, the more expensive they get. These are medium to large. Okay, so I have a nice stick-resistant pan here. We've got a little bit of extra flour, extra all-purpose flour, white flour, because we need glue. If I just stuck the shrimp right into the batter and put it into the pan, the batter would come right off. It would slither right off. So the flour is going to act as our glue. But I'm only going to do as many shrimp as I'm going to cook at one time so that the flour doesn't get gummy. Let me see, I'm going to do about 6 or 7. Oh, what the heck, I'll do 8. And then I'm going to use this parchment paper to coat the shrimp. We left the last bit of the shrimp on. You can see here the last shell. This is so you can pick it up easily. It's sort of like your handle on the shrimp. You could certainly take it off if you wanted to. So after we coat with the flour, I like to shake off the excess. If I didn't, all this flour would go into my batter and suddenly I would have thickened it. Now the thinner your batter, the more thin the coating will be. The thicker your batter, the more substantial your coating will be. It's sort of what you're in the mood for. So in we go. Now you're putting your hand with shrimp into a hot pan, so don't drop it from too far or the oil will come up and hurt you. And we're just using flavorless vegetable oil. I'm going to let these cook for about 2 to 3 minutes aside or until they're golden. So we're just going to give them another little sprinkling of salt. If you had to make a huge batch, which is conceivable, because they're so delicious and wonderful, you have to make lots, just heat the oven to like 300 degrees or even 250, and as you make them, just pop them in the oven to keep them warm. A little bit of salt. And there we go. Wow, doesn't that look so tempting? Beer-battered shrimp. Here's some clever tips for healthy car snacks to create peace and harmony for the long car ride. Want to prevent fights in the back seat? Give everybody their own snack box. Let each kid fill a plastic tackle box with healthy snacks: pretzels, raisins, cereal, crackers, berries, and trail mix. Write their names on the lid, and they own it. Fill an empty jar with ranch dressing and carrots, or peanut butter and celery, and you've got crudité to go. And freeze a juice box to keep them cool on the road. My producer Adrienne loops the front handle of her tote bag over the headrest of the front seat, and then she puts a sheet pan inside, and that way her son has a tray for art projects or for eating snacks. Don't forget wipes and a garbage bag for cleanup. Put some smiles in those miles with these backseat snack tips. I first learned about this wonderful dish, pasta pizza, from a test cook at Gourmet. Leslie Glover Pendleton is her last name now. She got married. And I thought it was just brilliant. She developed it for In Short Order, which was a column in Gourmet for fast recipes. And this is definitely a recipe that would appeal to kids because it's a pizza with all the usual stuff on it. But it's a great way to use pasta or leftover pasta. So I'm going to start by making my sauce. You could certainly just use bought tomato sauce. I'm not such a fan of bought, store-bought tomato sauce because it's usually got extra sugar and all this other stuff in it. And it's so easy to make a really quick one. So you start with some fresh onions. This is not a slow and low one. This is just a 20-minute tomato sauce. I found out recently, you know those diced tomatoes? They've been treated with something that makes them keep their dice so the dice doesn't break down. So they're sort of chewy. Let me get my pan going here. And we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'll get this in. The pan's not quite hot, but it really doesn't matter. This isn't rocket science. And then 2 garlic cloves. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little lazy, all I do is crush the garlic and throw it in whole. Okay. A little salt. A hot teaspoon of hot pepper flakes. Oh, you know what? I have kids coming over. I'm gonna add a half a teaspoon. But if you don't have kids coming over, or if you have kids who like hot food, add the whole teaspoon and get wild. All right, on to the tomatoes. Whole tomatoes, as I say, because those diced tomatoes are just dicey in that they're crunchy. They will never soften up. And preferably get the real San Marzano from Italy, not from California or New Jersey, because they're the best. And I'm gonna show you, I could either just get in there with my hands and crunch these up. You know how when you're cutting up tomatoes, you put them on the cutting board and then suddenly you're chasing sauce all over the place? Well, this is a better way to sort of get it started. And we want all that nice liquid as well. Make sure, of course, that your scissors are clean and you only use them for culinary purposes. There we go. What the heck, I'm gonna put my hands in there too. I can't help it, it's not quite crushed enough. You know, and the thing about this pasta pizza, as I mentioned before, it's really nice for kids, and I'm so sure of it. I've invited a few neighborhood kids over to give it a little taste test. Okay, another stir in there. Let me just wipe off my hands, 1 second. While I'm just 1 more second on that, I'm gonna get my basil ready for later, because we're gonna finish the sauce with just some coarse chopped basil. You could rip it, you could chop it. I'm gonna chop it a little bit. Basil and tomatoes is a match made in heaven. But then again, tomatoes go with so many herbs, it's amazing. This is not even a chiffonade, nothing fancy, just a few little chops. Okay, into the bowl for later on. Now I'm going to add my tomatoes, and we're going to let this simmer for about 20 minutes. It's going to cook down, and then we're going to taste it. I'm going to add another pinch of salt and drop my pasta. So the pasta, the star of the show, the bottom part of our pizza, is nothing more than angel hair pasta, also known as capellini. This is really the best because it clumps up. It really sticks together and makes a lovely crispy crust. Okay, salt. Make sure you add the salt, because something starchy like pasta really needs the salt from the very beginning. Now, as soon as you get the pasta into the pan, stir it. And the reason I'm stirring it, have you ever thrown your pasta into the pan and then walked away and then noticed it's become one? You've just got a wad of pasta in there, so you have to stir it. Capellini, angel hair pasta, only takes about 3 minutes, so I have to stay aware. I'm going to slice up some peppers, which we're going to put on top of our pizza. It's one of our toppings. Of course, you can use any toppings you want. And we want rings just because we want it to look pretty. But you want it pretty thin because they're only going to spend a few minutes in the, okay, now we're getting the seed pod. I would remove it and then just keep going, but I already have quite a few done, so. But what you do is you just take a knife and remove it and then keep slicing. Now for this, you're gonna want a non-stick or a stick-resistant pan because pasta has lots of starch. I'm gonna put a tablespoon of oil in each one of these. These are stick-resistant pans, ceramic in the inside. All right, while these are heating up, I am going to drain my pasta. That's why I just love capellini, because on a weeknight, could just make it really quickly. Sometimes what I do is I make the capellini, then I toss it with a little bit of chicken broth, a little bit of Parmesan, perhaps a bit of butter, and it's oh so good. I'm gonna let that drain for half a second while I get the peppers going. I'm using red and green. You could use all green, you could use all red. As I said, we're just wilting them. Aren't those pretty? There's just nothing more beautiful than red peppers. And most kids, I find, my son certainly when he was little, it was one of the few vegetables that he would eat. And we're gonna get our pasta in the pans. And you notice I didn't wash the pasta at all because we want all the starch that's in there. 1 pound of pasta will make about 6 pizzas. And I'm going to turn them down after I get this in there. You see it's sticking together, which is perfect. So you just spread it out. And I'm going to smush it with my smushing tool, but these really do need to be way down because you want to just crisp it slowly. It gets the most delicious texture. Here we go. Boink, 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 boink. Very scientific. Perfect tool for the job, one of these flexible spatulas. Wow. Okay, while that's cooking, I'm going to go on down and make some peanut sesame sauce I know the kids are going to love. We're going to start with, and by the way, this is a recipe from a friend of mine, Rosa Ross. When I worked at Gourmet one time, we did a Chinese New Year. And Rosa came in, and she was the one that made this peanut sauce, and I'd never tasted peanut sauce like it before. I was just astonished. We want about 1/3 cup. And when I was going and developing my cookbook, I wanted to have a peanut sauce, and I wanted it to be as good as hers, but I didn't want to rip hers off. So I went and tried to make a peanut sauce of my own, using all the ingredients that people usually use, all the usual suspects. And mine just wasn't as good as hers. So finally I went back and looked at hers and I figured out that her recipe had one thing, just one thing, that mine did not. The scallions. The scallions are what put the sauce over the top. Okay, 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. Doesn't get much fresher than that. Hoisin. I've decided this is like Chinese ketchup. It's sweet, it's got depth of flavor. So there's 1/2 cup. We need 3/4 cup of the natural style peanut butter. You want the real stuff. And there's some that's labeled natural that has nothing added. Or some stores actually grind up fresh peanut butter. And you know, there's a fair amount of ingredients in here, but this is a wonderful sauce that really lasts for a couple of days or even a week. And besides being great with crudité, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. It's a sauce that you can cook up fettuccine, save some of the pasta cooking liquid, swirl in this sauce with some of the pasta cooking liquid, and you have sesame noodles. Fantastic. A tablespoon of soy sauce. Again, because I have the neighborhood kids coming, I'm gonna go light on the hot sauce, but if it was for me, I'd add a lot of that, because that's what I love. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. We'll probably add some more in a minute. This sauce comes out quite thick. So that's everything that goes in. We need to do it for just a little bit to make sure that the scallions totally get ground up in there. Okay. See how smooth it becomes. You can do this in a blender and it'd probably be smoother in a blender, but oh boy, you'd have to keep knocking it down, and this is just fine. Oh, that is delicious. Wow. This is great for picnics too. Okay, there we go, peanut sauce. I bet you these guys are ready to flip. Let's have a little look-see. Woo, perfect. Oh yes, wonderfully crispy. You have to be aggressive. Don't be shy when you're flipping them. Okay, now let me get the toppings. I've got some provolone because I thought that would be nice kid-friendly cheese, and it's a beautiful melting cheese. And then I've got some prosciutto. Just rip a little bit up. It's sort of fun, it's like you just put it in any which way. We're going to use about, well, for each pizza, it's about an ounce of prosciutto and 2 ounces of cheese. The side that we did first, the one that was down 20 minutes, is the crispier side. So we want that on the bottom. So I'm going to flip it back so that that's on the bottom. Isn't this amazing? What a magic trick it is. Okay, now I'm going to put my basil. I'm going to just put my basil in my sauce right now, stir it up, and put a little bit of sauce on top. Now, one thing that people tend to do with any kind of pizza is they put way too much sauce on it because it just sogs it up. Why do we go to all this trouble to make the pizza so wonderfully crispy if we're just going to sog it up? Oh, that's so pretty. It's making me happy. I'm going to decide what order I want to do this in. Let's see. Okay, so I actually think I'm going to put the prosciutto down first. You can put them any which way you want. I'm just going with prosciutto first. I'll put some of this in there. This is our provolone. I'm just going to rip it up a bit. We're not quite done because we have to melt the cheese. So what takes the longest with this pasta pizza is just crisping the bottom. The toppings are a cinch. Oh, more cheese is always better, don't you think? Okay, and then an assortment of peppers. They'll just melt right in. Okay, now I'm just going to cover them and let them melt. And that just takes about 3-4 minutes because the pizza is essentially done. Oh, there they are. Hello, welcome. I hope you're hungry.
Yes.
I've got a very special dish for you all. Okay, guys, why don't you all have a seat, and I'm going to bring you over your special thing that I made for you. And what you've got for a drink there is something that I call a Peter soda. It's orange juice and seltzer, so have a sip if you'd like. And I am just going to cut up our pizzas right here. So do you all like pizza? Do you normally eat pizza?
Yes.
Yeah? What kind of pizza do you usually eat? What do you usually like?
Plain and pepperoni.
Pepperoni? Oh, you're gonna like this then. I have something that's a little bit like pepperoni. Alex, how about you? What kind do you usually eat?
I usually eat like bacon pizza.
Oh, well, we know that you're gonna be happy with this. Alrighty, let me get the crispiest ones. Actually, do you wanna?
Sure.
Okay. Good for you. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Very nice hostess. There you go. So I'm going to come on over and join you. But take it to dig in. You can use your fork and knife. Yeah. So I bet you had never had pizza that had pasta at the bottom, have you?
No.
No? Do you want some help there? I should go. Oh, boy, that's good. There we go. Let's take a look.
Can you cut mine too?
I will. Oh dear. One thing I've just learned is that maybe it's a little hard to eat, but that's okay.
But it's really good.
Is it? Alex, you managed to get in there?
Mm-hmm.
Kate, here you go. You know what? It reminds me of that shredded cereal that you have at breakfast, doesn't it? Sort of interesting.
Yeah, it does. It's cool.
Okay, there you go. If you want to pick it up, go for it. Pick it up. Let's do it together. What do you like, carrots, broccoli, or red peppers?
Red pepper.
Red pepper. Just like my son, Sam. There you go. So, and how about you? What do you like?
I like carrots.
For you, madame.
Thank you.
Do you like the peanut sauce? Isn't that good? You know, it's also good with noodles. Very good. Alrighty, there we go. Pasta
this is
pizza.
amazing.
Oh, that's what I want to hear. Pasta pizza is great for the kids, and it's great for the kid in you. I'm Sara Moulton here with Kate, Alex, and Chase, my favorite kind of people. They're all shorter than I am. I hope to see you next time on Sara's Weeknight Meals. All right, let me cut you another piece. Should we have a toast? Let's all sort of lean over towards Chase because he's the shortest of us all. Okay, ready? Whoa! Okay, now we take a sip. They say chin chin.
Sarah's Weeknight Meals continues online. For recipes, helpful tips, messages, and lots more, visit us on the web at sarahmoulton.com/weeknightmeals. Funding provided by
Family owned and Indiana grown, Maple Leaf Farms is a proud sponsor of Sarah's Weeknight Meals. Providing a variety of duck products for home kitchens, Maple Leaf Farms Duck helps inspire culinary adventures everywhere. Maple Leaf Farms.
Subaru builds vehicles like the versatile Subaru Forester with symmetrical all-wheel drive and plenty of cargo room. A recipe made for whatever the day brings. Subaru, a proud sponsor of Sarah's Weeknight Meals.
Ezra's Feta Cheese, family made for more than a century.